Thank you. I now call Jenni Minto to be followed by Colin Smith. Up to 4 minutes, please, Ms Minto.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Firstly, I too would like to congratulate Ariane Burgess for securing a debate on the importance of Scotland's coastal environments, and the diversity of the contributions today really emphasise this. The local authority area of Argyll and Bute has a coastline longer than that of France, and almost 80% of its population live within 1 kilometre of the coast. The natural asset that is the sea is integral to how communities the length and breadth of Argyll and Bute live, work and play. In his 1703 journal, A Description of the Western Isles, Martin told of the Luasach water spirit, Shawnee. Each year, one of the community would wade into the sea carrying a cup full of ale and would cry, "Shawnee, I give you this cup of ale, hoping that thou will send us plenty of seaware for enriching our ground during the coming year." Seaware being seaweed, an organic and sustainable fertiliser. And now, 320 years later, we face the challenge to sustainably support our coastal communities and to ensure that we are meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, as the UN definition of sustainability states. Researching for this speech and speaking to my constituents in Argyll and Bute, one consistent piece of advice kept coming up: look to Norway. Our two countries have many similarities, but the one that struck me as relevant in this debate is that both Scotland and Norway have extensive ocean areas, both 6 times greater than their land mass. The Norwegian Ministry of Climate and Environment says the seabed and water are biological treasure troves that we will both protect and harvest in a sustainable manner. Norway effectively manages its marine areas whilst also ensuring that the environment is looked after, and this is based on knowledge. Researchers across different disciplines are involved in preparing a scientific basis for the management plans. We are doing this in Scotland, but we should be mainstreaming it. Here are a couple of examples of how Argyll and Bute is contributing to this work. The Scottish Association for Marine Science, SAMS, has been working for healthy oceans since 1884. They study the process that drives the marine system to understand how our coastal environment responds to ever-increasing man-made pressures. When I visited SAMS in November last year, they were about to launch a robotic device to measure the ocean's temperature from Scotland to Iceland. Knowledge like this can help develop a sustainable blue economy for the benefit of people without degrading the sea's health and productivity. SAMS also works with community groups such as South West Mull and Iona Development, and they, with them, have created a 6-hectare sugar sea kelp farm at Ardfada. Now, seaweed farming is a growing global industry, and seaweed is in high demand for a multitude of uses, from culinary to agriculture, bioplastics to cosmetics. As mentioned in the motion, Sea Wilding on Loch Craignish is working with all stakeholders to improve the health of the loch, to increase biodiversity and generate green jobs and aid community welfare and well-being. Those who have lived and worked by the sea for generations need to be listened to. Communities must be at the heart of nature restoration and the stewardship of their environment. At this point, I want to mention the Clyde Cod Box. On the one hand, I represent the fishers whose livelihoods were being negatively impacted, and on the other, I recognise that we have a duty to ensure that our seas are sustainable. It is a complex issue, one that needs balance, one that needs fishers, environmentalists and scientists to work together. And I'm pleased that the Scottish Government has listened and acted on the concerns raised, and a revised SSI has been laid before Parliament. I, of course, made my own representations on behalf of my constituents and their interests. A proportionate way forward has been found. I recognise that not everyone is 100% happy with the decision, but I'm pleased that the Scottish Government has agreed to continue to work closely with local stakeholders to ensure that the policy meets its intent. Presiding Officer, to finish, we should be looking to the strengths of coastal communities to help solve the problems rather than trying to solve them centrally. As Sea Wilding says, the sea belongs to all of us.